We're going to get started with tonight's program, specially designed for our upcoming graduates, class of 2021. We are recording, so if you do not wish to be recorded or have your name or image on camera, you can feel free to sign off now. We will make the recording available after the session on the OCPD's YouTube channel. I am going to share my screen so that we can see a couple of the slides that we've prepared for you for tonight. And then again, we're gonna, of course, admit people as they log in. But hey everyone, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. We just wanted to take a moment and reconnect with you guys, congratulate you on your upcoming graduation and for finishing a really hard and long 3 years, half of which was in a pandemic. So you guys have persevered through that. And we just want to take a moment to spend some time with you tonight talking about how to prepare for your upcoming transition from law student to law graduate. The best ways for you to make the most of your time over the next couple of weeks, how to make the most of your time leading up to bar passage, to your bar prep summer, and then reconnecting with your postgraduate employment search after the bar exam. Okay, so tonight I kind of just briefly went over what we're going to talk about. What should I be doing now? I'm getting a lot of emails from 3Ls asking what they need to be doing right now. So we're going to talk about that for a little bit. We're going to go over the statistics for the class of 2020 that Kristen and I just worked to collect over the last couple of months. We're going to talk about what you need to be doing if you don't have a job yet, how to make ends meet during those few months when you're waiting bar results. And then we will end with the post-bar job search and take any questions from our audience. Okay, Kristen.
Okay, so this is just kind of a quick guideline to help you guys figure out a game plan going forward for the next few months, excuse me. So Nikki mentioned a moment ago that we collect information from all graduates every year. We touch the graduates basically twice in a 1-year period. We touch them first right at the time of graduation, and then 9 months post-graduation. So the first step in that process is to get the class of 2021, which includes you, to respond to the OCPD survey. It's very short. It would have been included in the email that you should have received today from Nikki. And it basically is just a few questions to determine if you've already obtained employment post-law school. It does not have to be a legal job. It doesn't have to be a job as a law clerk or an attorney. You could have a job at Macy's, if that's the job that you're planning to work at for the immediate future, that's fine. And if you're unemployed, that's fine too. We just have to have something to record and to report to the ABA. If you are employed, we may have a couple follow-up questions, but the entire process should take you no longer than 3 to 5 minutes to answer. So we'd really appreciate your cooperation with that. And we just ask that, you don't get annoyed if we have to kind of harass you on multiple formats, because we try to start out by the least intrusive method, which is email or a Google Doc, and then we move into texts or phone calls. Sometimes we go on social media, we search your LinkedIn, jump in your DMs, whatever we can do. We'll contact your parents if we have to, or sometimes we have to reach out to professors or administrators at the school to try to track you down. And I promise you, it's much easier if you just respond to the survey in the beginning. We are not going to share any of the information. It is confidential. You get assigned a number, so your name isn't released to the ABA. It will not be released to anyone at the law school. Again, we just really would appreciate, your cooperation with that. So outside of the survey that is prepared by OCPD, the next thing is to transition your resume from a 3L to a recent grad resume. And you can find an example of that in the OCPD manual. If you guys don't already know where the OCPD manual is located, you can find it in Simplicity. If you go to the resource library, or it might be called the document library on your home screen, and then just type in the word manual in the search box and it should come up. That's your guideline going forward. The information doesn't necessarily change just because you've graduated from law school, but you want to just reorganize and reformat your resume. It's just a couple quick updates. Now you can put that you have graduated from Thurgood instead of saying that you are expected to graduate. And you just want to make those quick changes so that if someone needs a copy of your resume, you won't have to redo it on the spot. The next step would be to create a LinkedIn page or update your LinkedIn page to reflect the fact that you are a JD, you hold the JD now, and that you may be studying for the bar. And of course, when you pass the bar, which all of you will do if you desire to do so, you will update that to an attorney or to bar results pending, whatever your current status is at that time. You want to identify people who can serve as references for you for networking purposes. So, think about your journey. It doesn't necessarily have to be people that you've worked with, but that always helps if they can vouch for your work product and your status as an employee. But you can also think about your professors, think about any organizations that you belong to, maybe your advisors in those organizations. If you've done pro bono work, you can think about your supervisors or community leaders that you may have worked with on those projects. Also, anybody that you think just can help you reach people who might be able to help you in your career journey. So maybe it's an uncle or a neighbor who has their own law firm that might be able to make, a reference for you. So just start to think about people who can help you on your journey, and then do the outreach to them to let them know that you're looking for work or you're looking to connect with people in a certain, field or practice area. It's, I think, a little bit harder now because we are in the pandemic and we don't have, as many social gatherings as we used to a couple years ago. So you've got to kind of remind yourself of the adage that, closed mouths don't get fed. You have to kind of put yourself out there to let people know what you're looking for, let them know how they can help you. And most of the time people are willing to, extend themselves to help someone, especially if they feel like you've taken the initiative to make the ask. So don't be afraid to do that. Be sure to update Simplicity with your, I want to say current, but I guess your most recent email and phone number. Sometimes people move after graduation. You might be moving away from Houston or moving somewhere else. Please keep that information updated because we will have to track you down at least twice in the next upcoming year. And there are a lot of grads and alums who eventually will avail themselves of the OCPD services even after they graduate, because they might be looking for a change in their career or, looking to maybe, expand their options, see what jobs are available. So we do provide services to alums. And so you want to keep your information updated just so we can get in touch with you, if the need persists. If the need exists, excuse me. And then finally, you can meet with us. Just like I was saying, we still offer services to alums and to grads. So you can make an appointment on Simplicity the same way you've done in the past by going and requesting an appointment, but you can also just email us. I think I would say on a weekly basis, Nikki and I talk to at least a couple grads every week for various reasons. They might want to update their resume. They might want to get connected to someone who works at a certain firm. They may be looking for a job, or they've run into, a brick wall and they just need some assistance, some guidance. So feel free to take advantage of our services. That's why we're here. I think that's probably it on this slide.
Kristen, are you able to see the waiting room? Because I can't view it.
Oh, no, I don't see anyone in there. I see the participants, but I don't see any requests.
Okay. All right, we can move on.
Okay, and then slide number four, excuse me. So the graduate employment statistics, what is the big deal? Why are they important? So the American Bar Association requires that all schools that maintain their accreditation have to share information about their graduating classes to their incoming classes. So for instance, the class of 2024, which will start at Thurgood this fall, they'll receive information on more than likely the past 3 years of graduates. So that's a class of 2021, 2020, and 2019. And that information is what the surveys go towards compiling. So how many of those members of those graduating classes are employed at graduation? How many of the members of those graduating classes are employed 9 months post-graduation? How many of those members of the graduating classes are employed in a position that requires a law degree or a law license versus one that doesn't require a law degree or a law license? What's the average or median salary of our graduates? There are questions like that. And that goes to basically tell the incoming students that, you know, if you do decide to pursue a law degree at Thurgood, you have a good chance of finding employment at graduation or 9 months post-graduation as a lawyer, or, you know, whatever your career choice is. So that's the reason why we do it. It helps us maintain accreditation, which gives the law school validity and makes your JD worthwhile compared to other law schools. And it gives career offices visibility on how our grads tend to use their JD. So whereas most of our grads, you know, pass the bar and practice law, we've seen trends in some fields like compliance where a JD, or I should say where a bar license is not necessarily required for the job, but it's a nice advantage. And sometimes they even put that, the employers will put that in the job description, that they want someone who has a JD, but a law license is not required for the position. Those positions are becoming more and more popular. They haven't overtaken just people who practice law, but they are becoming more popular. So that helps people know, you know, what field they're going out into once they have a JD from Thurgood. So that's kind of why we do it. What you should know, again, is that your name will not be associated with the survey. Like I said before, everybody gets assigned a confidential number. We are the only ones who have your name, and we won't pass it on to the ABA or to any other source. Even if you're unemployed, we still need to know that. There's no shame involved in not working or not passing the bar the first time or the second time. We're here to help you. Everyone at the school, including the Department of Academic Success with Dean Harrison, we're all here to kind of help you achieve your goals. So if you're unemployed, let us know how we can help you. But we just still need to know that you're unemployed. Like we said, it's not, just like I was saying, it's an opportunity for us to help you. And if you're not working in the legal field, that's fine too. There are plenty of people who, you know, take a break or decide to go into business or stay at home to raise a family, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. We just have to report the information to the ABA because it, again, goes to our accreditation and to help our future students. So I think that's it.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. So I wanted to just go back here. So I know that when Kristen and I were gathering the employment information for the class of 2020, and every year in the past, we have students who don't want to answer the email or they don't want to answer our phone call. And you guys, it's not our favorite thing of our job to do. Let me just tell you, I love getting the information because it helps Kristen and I be able to better counsel our students. And when even our grads call back and say, hey, like, what salary should I anticipate for this job? Or where are my classmates working? Are they in firms? Are they working for government agencies? The information is super, super helpful, but it's not fun for us to kind of hound you guys for the info. So we do want you to please participate and respond when you can. I know it's a pain. I hate when people call me for surveys, asking me a million questions, but this really does help the law school maintain its accreditation, which ultimately, like Kristen says, gives your JD value that you worked hard to obtain over the course of 3 years. And so if you'll just work with us to provide us the details, we would really appreciate it. And like Kristen said, even if you're not working, it's okay. I have students who just do not want to answer our questions because they're embarrassed to tell us that they're not working or that it's not in a legal field. It's okay. I would rather have that information than not hear from you at all. And oftentimes during the course of us collecting this data, we talk to grads and they're like, hey, if anyone's looking, let them know my firm is hiring. Or if anyone's still looking, let them know that all I had to do for this job that I have is show that I had a JD and they hired me and I'm making $30 an hour, $40 an hour. I don't want to do it forever, but let anyone know who's looking that they're hiring. So oftentimes we're calling you to find out, yes, are you employed? But we also may have information for you that could help you find a job if you're still looking for something.
Just one more quick note. Mm-hmm. When we can't reach you by phone or by email and we start to go on social media, we also will ask your classmates, right? If we talk to someone, and I'm just going to use an example because I'm looking in the chat. If we ask Krishna, hey, do you know where Cynthia's working? She can tell us. And although we can't use Krishna's firsthand information, it will lead us down a path and we may end up calling, some people that you don't necessarily want us talking to it kind of makes the process a lot easier if you'll just respond, initially.
Yes. And kind of while we're on that topic too, it helps your professional career and our lives so much easier if you update your LinkedIn. The ABA will allow us to rely on a graduate's LinkedIn profile. So if you update your LinkedIn with where you're employed or JD, waiting on bar results from Florida, at least we kind of know where you are. If you update your LinkedIn with working part-time doing document review with such and such a company, I can use that. We can screenshot that and tell the ABA, hey, this is the graduate's most recent information and update on LinkedIn. I don't have to harass you. Kristen doesn't have to harass you. So I can't tell you how many students, graduates still had not updated their LinkedIn. If you're going to have a LinkedIn, which you should in this career path, at least make it up, at least update it, because if not, you might as well not have one. We had students with outdated information from like 2017 who still were showing there were 2Ls or 3Ls. So that's not a great look too for your professional online presence. So if you're going to have a LinkedIn, please keep it updated. It's going to help you in the long run, and it helps us too when we're gathering this info. Okay, I'm going to move on because I do want to share with you kind of where the stats lined up for the class of 2020. So we were searching for and had to gather information on 209 graduates. So that was graduates from December 2019 and May 2020. So I just did a brief synopsis of where we stood on the statistics. So of the 209 graduates, 2 were enrolled in a full-time LLM program. So LLM in tax or health or whatever program they selected. 139 of the graduates were employed. So well over half, pretty good employment rate there. 38 were not employed, but were still looking. So of the 209, 38 reported that they were not employed, but they were looking for a position. 25 did not respond. So that's the largest amount of students that we ever had that did not respond. I'm assuming there's probably a lot of contributing factors to that. We didn't have updated information for some of our grads. I'm sure some people are still dealing with challenges due to COVID that just may not have been in a position to respond. Whatever the case may be, we had 25 people that did not respond. So we don't know if they're working, if they're not working, what's going on with them. So we really don't ever want to have that high of a number to report to the ABA to say, hey, we don't know what's going on with these graduates. Typically, we hover around 3 to 5 students who didn't respond. So 25 was huge for us this year. Just to further break down those 139 employed graduates, 96 of those graduates were in a position that required bar admission. So that was either in the role of an attorney or an associate, a solo practitioner, or even a law clerk or legal assistant position where the law firm said, hey, once you pass the bar, you will become a full-time associate. So even if they weren't working as an associate yet, they were in a position where that was a long-term goal of the employer. Say sometimes people did not pass the bar the first go around, so they were waiting on their February results. Those are still considered positions requiring a bar passage. 29 graduates were in a position that required, or that where their JD was seen as an advantage. So it's not necessarily required for the role, but it was seen as an advantage for them to obtain the position. And 14 were in other professional or non-professional positions. So teaching, some type of educational field, some type of other business industry field. And then you can see there, we kind of broke out where the students are working. Most, as you can see, are either in a law firm or in a government setting, whether it's working for the state or as a DA or the public defender's office, something along those lines. Kristen, did you have anything to add on that one? Okay.
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's get to what many of you may want to talk about tonight, which is, I don't have a job yet, what should I do, right? So we've already been getting several emails and kind of frantic inquiries from members of the class of 2021 that are worried about what they need to be doing right now, okay? You are not alone if you don't have a job right now. That's kind of where most 3Ls across, nationwide find themselves. So unless you were recruited by a large law firm, who those firms typically hire your 2L year, 2L summer, some honors programs that government agencies do, some judges pick their law clerks early on. Some students who worked at smaller mid-sized firm throughout their time in law school may have been extended an offer to return to the firm after they take the bar exam and offered a full-time position once they pass the bar. Unless you kind of fall into one of those 2 or 3 categories, most people won't have anything when they cross the stage in May, and that's okay. I fell into that category too. When we're surveying our graduates, the majority of them are falling into that category. Some will get offers of employment in the next couple of months right before the bar. Most will not get anything until after the bar exam. That's just when small to mid-sized firms and some corporations tend to hire. They need for you to be closer to getting those results. Firms are about making money. They need for you to be able to generate income as quickly as possible. So they may not extend an offer until September, October, November, closer to the time when they know that bar results are going to come out. And when we're surveying our grads, we're finding out that that's when most of them are receiving their job offers. The couple of months leading up to the bar results, and then the couple of months right after bar results come out.
And that's I think you mentioned this already, but that's nationwide. That's not a Thurgood problem, right? That's just the way law schools and law firms typically hire, unless you're one of those people who has a pre-commit offer from your summer employer or your clinic employer, or you received a job offer as a 2L through OCI and they've already made you an offer. It's very rare for most people to have a job at graduation as an attorney, like in the works. So don't feel discouraged about that. You're in the majority nationwide.
Exactly. And so what can you control, right? There's some of that we can't control, but what you can control is your documents, your online presence, your LinkedIn page, your networking efforts, focusing on the bar. So those are a couple things that we have listed here for you. Everyone needs to take a look at the manual that Kristen mentioned. After May, when you guys are graduated, you need to go ahead and take time. You can do it now if you want to. Just don't send out the recent grad resume if you're still applying for jobs until after you've graduated. But you need to update your resume with the new format for a recent grad. On your LinkedIn pages, put underneath your picture, Juris Doctor. You will have obtained a JD by then, which is still a very marketable degree, even without a bar passage. So make sure you add Stephanie Guerra, JD, Juris Doctor, okay, on your LinkedIn page. If you are choosing to take the bar, you can also add, you don't have to, but you can add candidate for the UBE or Georgia 2021 Georgia bar exam, right? That lets employers know, hey, this person's graduated from law school, they've got their JD, and they're preparing to take the bar exam. Join local bar organizations. If you're staying in Houston, the HBA will let you join during your 3L year for free. I have a couple of students who are looking to go back to Dallas. The Dallas Association of Young Lawyers is similar to the HBA. They have a networking organization. You can join there. Just about every single state, no matter where you're going, has some type of local bar organization or some type of young lawyers organization, which is great to join for networking. And a lot of times they'll have job postings, a job posting site as well. Also, take advantage of your resources that are already here at Thurgood. Assistant Dean Prudence Smith, she is Assistant Dean of External Affairs and Alumni Relations. She has a database full of alums throughout the United States and abroad who are practicing attorneys. If you email her, let her know your practice areas and the state or jurisdiction that you're interested in, I'm sure she will be happy to send you a few names and put you into contact with some people for you to call, try to set up a Zoom meeting, introduce yourself, send an email to let them know, hey, I'm moving to Florida. I know you're in Tallahassee, and I'm interested in family law and criminal law. I would love to talk with you, or if you know any attorneys, if that's not your practice area, that you can introduce me to, I would appreciate the help. start with your alums. They're going to be happy to connect you in any way they can. While you have the time now, before you get in the throes of bar study, take advantage of this time to network. You're not going to be able to network hardly at all once bar prep starts, okay? So reach out to people now, set up Zoom meetings, get on the phone, set up emails, lay your foundation, so to speak, now, so that after the bar exam, you can kind of pick up where you left off. After you've done that and bar prep starts, focus on the bar. If your goal is to pass the bar and become a licensed attorney, you're going to be much more marketable as a candidate who has passed the bar exam. So yes, set up job alerts, apply to things if you have time to do a job search that you find interesting. But your main focus this summer, if you're taking the bar exam, should be to prepare for that test and pass the exam. And of course, you can always set up an appointment with the OCPD after you complete your bar studies, and we'll be happy to help you pick back up with your post-bar job search. Okay, so what do we do after the bar in those really uncomfortable few months? There's a Band-Aid there, so we got to put a Band-Aid on it, right? We got to make ends meet while we're awaiting the results. Sorry, my slide says awaiting the exam, but I meant awaiting the bar results, right? Some of us have the luxury to live at home with family or friends for free. Maybe money's not at issue, so we can take our time searching, but for most graduates, they're going to need some source of income. So we've listed a couple of temp agencies that a lot of our students sign up with. I signed up with after law school just to have some money coming in, continue to build legal skills while I'm waiting on those bar results, okay? Concilio, Special Counsel, Robert Half Legal, TransPerfect. Those are some agencies that will hire law graduates. Often they just want someone that has a JD. Not all of the organizations or projects will require a bar license. Some of them do, but it's worth it to register with these agencies with just your JD, and they can oftentimes get you on a temporary contract assignment. They usually pay anywhere from like $25 an hour to $40 an hour. These organizations hosted the contract projects remote during this last year, during the pandemic. So very flexible opportunities there. So those are some ways that you can get some money coming in the door while you're waiting on those bar results. Don't forget, you also have a JD. I think a lot of students forget that, hey, I have a JD, I have a professional graduate degree that is very marketable and a highly sought after degree. So when you're looking for things, if you're having trouble passing the bar or finding a position that is an entry-level attorney position, or you want to just broaden your search, look for things that are looking for JDs only, things in compliance, education, different business industries really only require a JD. Okay, so you may be able to find something that way. Don't be afraid to ask for work, volunteer, a combination of 2 or 3 different things. I think I was working for like Robert Half Legal doing a temporary contract assignment. I was working retail at Bath and Body, and I was doing some volunteer research for a family law attorney that was kind of paying me what they could. So sometimes it takes a few things to juggle until you get your position, and that's okay because it's a couple of months. It's just a moment in time, and then once you finally get your full-time position, you can let all the contract stuff go. And I just encourage everyone to be flexible with your job search. You don't have to take a job and stay there forever. It's an opportunity to get something on your resume, post-graduation, build legal skills, network, make connections, and then you can always move on. All right, lastly, so following up on what we shared earlier, your first job doesn't have to be your dream job, right? My first job at law school, I think I was making like $40,000, it was a small firm, and I got to move on to a mid-sized firm before the end of my first year. So I was there for 9 months and got another job offer, and I made a switch, increased my salary by almost $40,000 within 1 year, right? So you make the most of what you have, and then you build upon that and switch to something else. Experience is key. So even if you have the luxury of living at home, you don't have to worry about rent or food or gas. You don't want to be idle too long because employers are going to start to wonder, well, what were you doing with all that time after graduating law school or even after passing the bar? When we were searching for grads from the class of 2020, we came around across several grads who were, they had passed the bar and they weren't working. And so we were kind of doing a little deeper dive. Do you need assistance? What are you looking for? Well, long story short, they were waiting for the perfect job. So had been sitting at home for months, just waiting for their dream firm, dream company to call them and offer them a job. And in the meantime, they were getting offers. They just didn't want to take anything. And not every offer is going to be right for you, but don't spend too much time waiting for the perfect job to come along. That may not exist. If there's an opportunity that sounds good to you, it's an opportunity for you to build legal skills and start working using your JD or using your bar license. It may be something to consider. You don't have to stay there forever. You can make the most of the opportunity and then keep looking and later on switch to something else that's more ideal for your long-term goals. Remember to think outside the box. If your dream has been to go to a mid-sized firm or to open up a solo practice and that's not working for you, consider government positions, consider higher education, corporations, a smaller firm. There are agencies all over there now hiring for virtual work opportunities out of California that students in Texas or DC may have never had the opportunity to take advantage of before because it required a license in that state. Whereas now we're required them maybe to move to that state. Whereas now with everything being virtual, there's a lot more flexibility involved with your job search. So be flexible, keep your options open, especially for those of you who are taking the UBE. You have the opportunity to be licensed in a number of different states. So be as flexible as possible. Again, volunteer, ask for work, shadow attorneys at court, reach out to your alums. And of course, ask the OCPD. We are here to support you even after graduation. As Kristen shared earlier, we work with our alums all the time to help them find career opportunities. So that is all that we have on our end. And I just want to take a moment now to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Everybody's got a job lined up? All of you? Nobody has any questions?
We have questions, but
Yes.
I have a question. So, are you guys open to like reviewing our resume? Because I currently just updated my resume, but I want to make sure it actually fits the criteria for to be marketable. I guess that's the question I'm asking. So, is it okay if I send the resume to you guys to review before I upload it on Simplicity and update it on LinkedIn?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is a time to do all of that kind of like legwork, right? Because once you guys get into your bar summer, you're not going to have time. You want to make sure that you've got some documents ready to roll and send out before you get too deep in bar study. So of course, send us your resume. If you'll just email it to us in Word, that way we can go in and edit it.
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Or you guys can type in the chat box.
Anyone? I'm trying to just get a sense of how you guys are feeling right now, because I know I've gotten a lot of emails over the last couple of weeks from 3Ls who are in a little bit of a panic about not having something yet. And did the information that Kristen and I just shared kind of calm any of those fears down for anyone? Or are you guys still concerned about not having something? Does what we said make sense? Talk to us about kind of how you guys are feeling right now about your job search.
I think this definitely helped me a lot because I was worried about not having a job after. But like you said, the statistics are how they are. So since I didn't want to continue in where I'm working at right now was my issue, because I didn't know if I should continue to work up until I graduated, or if it was better for me to stop working there and try to get another jobs that would secure me something post-grad.
Yeah. So were you asking if you should keep where you are now?
Well, at this point, I am going to keep it, just like you said, because I was only worried because I still don't have anywhere to secure it for post-grad.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's common with employers to tell 3Ls that, okay, I can't hold a job for you, or I don't have a job for you right now as an attorney. That's a common line. And, you know, of course, as a student, you kind of get discouraged, like, well, I've put in all this time with you and I was just hoping I could come right in. But just take advantage of the time that you're there. You know, if save as much money as you can, make good contacts with the people who were there in that office. And you never, I mean, you mentioned that you probably don't want to stay there after graduation anyway, but you don't know who everyone that you work with, you don't know who they know, right? So even if you don't want to stay at that particular firm, once you've taken the bar exam, it's fine to reach out to them again and say, hi, I just wanted to touch base with you. Hope all is well. I've now taken the bar exam and I'm looking for my first attorney position. I understand that you may not have anything available right now. However, if you wouldn't mind, forwarding my resume to anyone that you know that might be looking for a first year attorney, or if there's someone that you think maybe I can connect with, I'm happy to, meet with them over Zoom or have an informational interview. You can kind of take benefits from it if you look at it from that perspective, rather than just kind of closing the door on that opportunity and everyone that worked there. You never know, it may help you or lead you to something that you might be more interested in down the line.
Yep. And if they are flexible and want you to stay on, that could be good too. Maybe you can stay there, keep some money coming in, keep building some skills. Maybe they'll, let you take a break to study for the bar. And because you've done good work for them and you guys have already established a rapport, and maybe an employer that you can go back to after bar study and say, hey, I've just finished studying. I would love to, if you guys still need help, I would love to come back and work with you, while I'm awaiting my results. And you never know, they could end up needing a full-time associate in a few months after bar results come out, and would be happy to hire you. Or like Kristen said, they can refer you to someone else that may be needing an attorney in their office. Any other questions or concerns? Need advice on how to navigate anything?
Question.
Mm-hmm.
How much would you say is it okay to continue to reach out to a firm? I guess I had a connection back in Colorado and he had a connection here. We actually spoke to the lady and she told me to send me my resume, and I sent it. And then if you don't hear from them, I called her and she said she would get back to me. So I don't want to be like a pest, but do I continue or just wait for her?
So when was the last time you made contact?
It was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I think it's fine to continue to follow up. I probably wouldn't follow up, every week, but maybe give it another couple of weeks, follow up again. You can just say, hey, I know you're super busy. I'd love to connect with you. I'm about to graduate soon and then go into my bar prep for the summer, but I did want to reach out to you again and see if we could possibly arrange a time to talk or to possibly meet via Zoom. And then if they don't respond again, I think it's okay to move on and then put some other feelers out there for some other opportunities, and then maybe follow back up with them over the summer while you're studying for the bar exam, just to send a quick email, or you can wait till after the exam is over to follow back up. But I think another outreach in a couple of weeks would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good questions. Well, we got a small group here. I know there's a lot more of you guys, and I know everyone's super burned out and ready to be done with law school. I remember those days, but we do want to just offer ourselves to answer any more questions with at least those of you who are on the call.
Even if it's not an issue that you're personally having, if you guys have heard people chattering about certain things you have questions about, we'll do our best to help you through it. We have this time reserved until 6, so we don't want to, keep you on if nobody has any questions, but we definitely want to make ourselves available to you because we haven't had the chance to meet with you for the entire year, most of you. So
I did want to share too while I'm thinking about it, because this just popped into my head. As you guys get offers, don't be afraid to reach out to Kristen and I about how to navigate that, right? Because I have a lot of grads who are like, oh my gosh, I got an offer and it's X amount of money and I just took it. And then they want to come and say, should I have asked for more money? Or now what do I do about this? Or I didn't ask about this aspect of the position or the benefits. And I don't know if I want to take the job now. So always ask, that thank you so much for the offer. When do I need to when do I need to give you an answer? If you could, let me know. And then take some time to think about it. You do your homework, reach out to your colleagues, reach out to Kristen and I, a professor that you have a good relationship, to ask about how to navigate the offer, what your salary should be, if there's any room for negotiation on some things. Don't feel like just because you are right out of law school or you're still waiting for bar results that you've got to take that first job offer. It may not be a good fit for you, right? And that's okay, but at least work in the time, whether it's a few days or a week, to at least do some digging around to see if it's if it's a good move for you, or at least how to negotiate the offer.
Oh, Lorena has a question. It depends, Lorena. It depends.
Oh.
Her question is, what is a good offer range that we should look for? It depends on many factors. So first of all, I think, the practice area that you're working in, also maybe the geographical area that you're working in. For instance, jobs in Houston probably pay more than jobs in Brownsville, but jobs in Houston pay less than jobs in New York, right? Comparatively, it just depends on what you're looking for. I think the average that we've been reporting out of Thurgood and the national average that we get from one of our governing bodies, the National Association for Legal Placement, which we call NALP, the national average is about, I'd say, 45 to 55,000 for a first-year attorney, but that's over all different types of practice areas. So there will be some first-year attorneys who come out of law school making $230,000 a year. There will be some that come out making 39, and everybody else kind of just falls somewhere in the middle. But I think once you get that initial offer, like Nikki said, ask them how long you have to respond to the offer, and then take that time period to do your research. You can go on websites like Glassdoor or PayScale to do research, and it'll ask you those similar questions. What practice area, what city and state are you in? What is your level of experience? You can also reach out to Nikki and I for information. Like she said, reach out to your colleagues, some of your classmates or recent grads, maybe working in that field, or don't you know somebody who works here? Can you connect me with them? And people are generally pretty honest. They might not tell you exactly how much money they make, but they'll usually give you a range. I make between 50 and 70. I make between, around, 65 grand a year. So that's kind of the best way to prepare, I guess, when you're looking at how much money you make, how much money is acceptable to make.
Yep, I agree. It's all over the place. I mean, when we were doing surveys, I was surprised at how much the public defender's office is making. Like they pay $70,000 or $80,000 in some jurisdictions, and I'm on the phone with my grads like, okay. And then ADA's, Brownsville, Houston, I think Philadelphia, they're like 65 to 70. Like that's not bad coming out of law school, right? And it could be opportunities for loan forgiveness for some of the public interest and government positions. So that's a huge savings right there if you're not having to pay your student loans back right away, or that's covered. Companies or firms may also cover your bar dues. Parking's a huge expense. So there's other things that you can negotiate or that may be thrown in there. And again, like I said, you don't have to stay there forever making $45,000. No one is expecting you or asking you to do that. But sometimes we just have to get our foot in the door, make it happen for a second, and then move on to something else. Anyone else?
Question.
Yes.
What could you explain maybe a little further what fellowships are and if you would recommend them? Or yeah, I'm just, what exactly are they?
Yeah, so fellowships, postgraduate fellowships are typically, it's a position that's paid, and it's for a set period of time. So you may see an advertisement for like a 1-year fellowship or a 2-year fellowship, and you're assigned a particular project or task. Usually, almost always, if you're talking about legal fellowships, there's a JD that's required, and 9 times out of 10, they also require a bar passage. And basically, you're working for a nonprofit organization or some type of legal entity on an attorney role, doing work for an organization for a set period of time. And it will end in a year or 2, depending on how long the fellowship is for. And yeah, I think they're great. I mean, it's kind of like if you think about a judicial law clerk. So someone may graduate from law school and go on to work for a judge as a law clerk. It's usually for 1 year or for 2 years. And after that, you move on and try to find a full-time position. But your fellowship will serve on your resume as a year or 2 of legal experience. And oftentimes people within the fellowship will try to connect you with some type of full-time employment as an attorney after the fellowship ends.
And just to add a little bit, they're usually really competitive, and they're regarded as very prestigious. So if you are selected as a fellow to work for some organization, usually just by the nature of being selected as a fellow, you will have other opportunities opened up for you to go where you choose after the fellowship is over.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else?
I have a question. Do you have any other tips about discussing with your employer your compensation or benefits or strategies that you recommend, like when it's appropriate or how it's appropriate to discuss those things?
My first piece of advice would be to do your research, right? You have to have, just like with anything else, you guys are learning in law school, you have to have an evidence-based argument. It can't just be, well, I think I deserve more money, so I should be paid more money. I'm a good person, I should be paid more money. I'm a hard worker, I should be paid more money. That's not going to work. So you can look at those websites like Glassdoor, like PayScale, and determine what is the average for that position in that location with someone who has, 0 to 1 years of experience or whatever the situation is at that time. And you can say to them, hey, I looked on this website and I looked on this website, and this is what the average salary is. And you are $25,000 below what people are making compared to, what the average is. And again, like, you can point to evidence, or another source of evidence you can point to is like, if this is someplace you've worked before, the value that you think you brought to the organization or what you intend to do when you join the organization. But there's got to be something that you can point to direct the employer to, what your offer is. Your offer that you're giving me is not reasonable, right? But you got to have some support for that.
Right. And I think, so when to have that conversation is once you get the offer, right? So I think we've talked about before, we don't talk about that in the interview. Hopefully the employer isn't asking you for a dollar amount in the interview. If they are, I think the best response is, I'm really at a position of wanting to get experience, and I think this is a great fit for me, and I'm really more interested in the right opportunity for me at this time. Be as vague as possible, let them know you're flexible. And if they hound you for something, then you can hopefully, before the interview, have done your research and can come up with a range of some sort. And Kristen and I can help coach you on that. But typically, that conversation will come after you get an offer. So you would like the employer to give you the offer in writing. Email is totally fine. They don't have to send you a letter. But the offer should contain like what the position is going to be, anticipated start date, what the salary is. If they offer benefits, maybe they can send you the benefits or compensation package. That way you have all your information in front of you. And then, like Kristen said, you start digging around on the websites, you reach out to your colleagues, our office. Hey, do you guys know anyone at this firm? What is a good salary range that I could anticipate for this particular firm? And then that way you can go back, like Kristen said, with some concrete details and information saying, hey, based on my research, I found that a firm of similar size with someone in my experience level is paying 70. So I would be looking to ideally get as close to 70,000 as possible. If they've made you an offer of, let's say, 60 or something like that. Sometimes firms, that's just the offer, right? That's all they can do, and that's okay. But it's always fine to ask for a little bit more, just to see what happens. But that doesn't always mean they're going to be able to give you more, but it's always a good exercise to at least do your homework, see what the options are, and then make the ask.
And then if you do decide to take an offer that you're not 100% pleased with, think outside the box and get creative, and ask them, can we agree to review my salary at my 6-month anniversary? And if I meet certain benchmarks, and you can determine what those benchmarks are with the employer, would you be willing to consider, a salary increase to $70,000? You can always kind of get creative. I think people kind of just think that it is whatever they tell you it is. And in some cases it is, because they're holding the majority of the bargaining power as the employer. But like Nikki said, it doesn't hurt to ask. So get creative, and be prepared coming into it. Have your research behind you. And I think HR managers and employers are more open to those kind of discussions, rather than like, I just want more money. That's not going to be received as well as someone who's done some research and has a compelling argument or reason for why they should get more money.
Yeah. And I think for the most part, in my experience, for the most part, I think employers try to be fair. I think, it's a financial decision, right? Risk on both ends, but I think they try to give you their best number, with the understanding that they are kind of expecting you to come back and say, hey, well, I'm hoping to get, if they offer you 45, closer to 50 or something like that, you guys can meet in the middle. But for the most part, I think that they try to make you their best offer, with the expectation that there may be a few $1,000s here or there wiggle room. But some students will say, well, I got an offer of 50 and I really feel like I should be making closer to 90. Okay, well, that's great. But I feel like if the employer could afford to pay you closer to 90, they probably would have come closer to that range with their initial offer. You usually don't see like a $40,000 window there. It's usually a couple thousand to maybe 5 or 10. But does that help, Ashton?
Yes, thank you. Those are some good tips.
You're welcome. Okay, we are on for like 5 more minutes, if that. Anyone else have a burning question or thoughts that they want to talk through or share?
We heard from almost everyone that's on the call right now. Anybody?
Stephanie, Kelsey, you're good. Taklisha, you're good.
Any questions on behalf of the grads, Taklisha?
Yeah, did
Esteemed
you guys
President?
get anything that you're?
Okay.
No?
Have you heard anything about graduation? I mean, are they planning to do something in person? Because I don't know what they're planning to do.
We are having graduation in person. It's going to be May 7th and May 8th.
Oh, okay. Okay.
7th, and it's
Oh, Cynthia, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You sound really quiet. You said,
okay, can you hear me?
yes, much better.
Okay, so I said, Arga, we are having an in-person graduation, but our hooding is scheduled for May 7th. We're gonna have 3 sessions, one at 9, one at 12, and one at 3. Each student is allowed to have 2 guests, and then the actual graduation for the universities on the 8th. The law school is scheduled to have theirs. Ours is the second session, which starts at 11:30, and we have
Okay.
4 guests per student. So
Okay.
we are having a
Okay.
graduation, and it's gonna be live. So hopefully they should send us like a link out by the end of next week, or hopefully by the 1st of May. But
Yes.
yeah, we're good. We're just exhausted. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate the honesty. We're exhausted too, and we're not ill. So, I definitely understand. I'm glad to hear that you guys are having some kind of celebration, because it is a huge accomplishment to finish law school, and especially finish law school in the midst of a global pandemic. So I just want to applaud all you guys and wish you well. And if you have any questions for OCPD, feel free to email us. Anything else?
Nothing else? I don't know, I guess to Cleisha, I don't know, maybe did you have anything else to Cleisha from any of the 3Ls questions?
She might have stepped away.
Yeah,
Maybe.
okay. Okay, guys. Oh, you're welcome, Ashton. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks everyone
thank
for
you.
joining. And don't forget, we're here for you guys. We're rooting you on. Let us know if you need anything. And we congratulate you, wish you well, and we hope to see you guys soon, or at least hear from you guys soon.
And answer our emails. Okay, thank you. All right, have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I don't think Taklisha's here, but I think we're all set. Yeah, we're all set.
Okay.
We can turn the recording
Yes.
off, I guess. Was there